Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for following me. In this video we'll try to talk about variables and the method. In the previous video we have explained exactly what is object and classes, which are part of OOP concept. So today we'll start talking about the content, or we can say the part of the member of a class. Since we have already explained what exactly an object and what is a class, so we'll talk about the content, or if you want, the member of a class. So the first member of the class is what you call the variable, which can be local variable, instance variable, or a static variable. We have also some method inside a class. We'll define them, and among method we have the void method. We have also predefined method, which you also could build in. This means method defined inside a specific class that we don't have to implement it. We can use them. For instance, we can call a method math that contains a lot of mathematical function or method inside. We have also user-defined method. In this user-defined method, these are methods that we define ourselves. Okay, so then after this one, we'll do a practical related to a problem, which we'll first do in our way, which we call first code letter. So we have the concept, the pseudocode, and then we show the Java implementation. After this video, the next video will focus on it. So let's start. What exactly variables or local variable? The first one. A local variable is a variable defined within a block or method. So that means any thing that have this one and also close by the second one is what you call in general a block. So the block can be a method. The block can be also a statement like the if or while condition that we have explained in a previous slide, in previous video. Okay, so this is basically a local variable, and there's something what you call some kind of rule. It is mandatory to initialize a local variable before using it. What does mean? If now I define a local variable and I want to print it, so I have to initialize it. In case I didn't initialize it, I cannot print it, I cannot use it. This one of the rule we say we have to initialize a local variable before using it in the defined scope. Okay, so local variable means outside this one we cannot see the variable. It means if I call it outside this block, it will get compile error. So the next one is what you call the instance variable, which are variable declared in a class without any method or blocks. So this directly inside declared inside the class, not inside any block or not inside a method. So this variable also are created when an object of the class is created and destroy when the object is destroyed. So this for memory management. When we create an object, in any time we create a new object, so like the variable are created when an object of the class is creating, and we will show what exactly create an object of the class. Basically is when we use the keyword new. We will see it in some example. We also say initialization of instance variable is not mandatory. You see, compared to a local variable, for instance variable is not mandatory to initialize it. So its default values depend on the data type. So for instance, as we have already seen, string default value is null, and the float default by this one, and int default value is 0. So we don't have to initialize. It's not mandatory. If you want, we can do it, but also it's not mandatory to do it. So instance variable can be accessed only by creating an object. We'll see one example. So what does we mean? Here, let's assume we have created two instance variables. The first one is name, the second one is age, as you can see. So here we create a new object. You see, creating of an object. Then now I can use it without this line. If I have not created this line, if I call this name, I will get some compile error because I have not created object. So this is a rule about instance variable. Instance variable, to use it, we have to create an object. So here we create object s1, then we call the name. Same thing for the age. That means if I don't have this line as I explained, I will get simply some error because it is an instance variable compared to a static variable that we will see later. Okay, so now we have the third one, which is a static variable or class variable. These are declared using the keyword static. As you can see here, they belong to the class, not to any specific object. So only one copy of a static variable exists, shared by all objects. What does it mean? If I create an object, then I create another object too, both objects are the same. This is why the static variable cannot be declared inside a method. This is a very important rule, that we cannot declare a static variable in a class, in a method, sorry. Then as you can see here, let's see this example. We have created a static variable count. We create new object c1 and another object c2. So when we call c1 count is same as c1 2. This is what we explain here. We said that they shared by all objects. Only one copy of static variable exists. So if we try to print this, we get output. What is important here, I can get directly the static variable by calling the class name, which is not possible with instance variable. Okay, so let's summarize these two, the difference between instance variable and static variable. For instance variable, each object has its own copy of instance variable, as we have already explained, compared to a static variable where only one copy of static variable exists per class. And also access through object reference. I cannot use instance variable by creating new object. That means in our previous example, like here, as you can see, for instance variable here, we have, as you can see, we have create first student before using it. This is what you mean creating an object. So that's the main difference between them. Compared to static variables, which we can easily access directly using the class name. I can call the class name dot the variable. That's the main difference. And also when we create an object, it is created using the new keyword and destroy when the object is destroyed, while the static variables create when the program starts and destroy when the program terminates, as you can see here. So then now, what is exactly the void method? Since again we say you can also have void method inside a class. If you follow our structure in the previous video, we have explained object and class. Now we have trying to explain the member of a class, what we can find in a class. So the first one we call the variable, we have already explained them. The next one is a void method. So a void method is typically a method that does not return any value. It performs an action but does not send a result back to the caller. So say at some point to know, use the keyword void as return type, then does not contain a return statement with a value. We generally use a void method for display output or perform some task. Okay, so now let's see one example of my method. You can see here in this cloud printer we have a method called print welcome. As you can see, it does not return anything. He just print, is output something. Okay, then when you call it, will get it try to call the void method, as you can see here. Okay, so again here this is void method which does not have any return, and we use it in this way by creating an object and get the method through the object. Okay, then we have a general method, which is a set of instruction code that perform a specific task. Let's give an example. If I want to cook, I do some process to cook. If I want to clean, I have a process to clean. If I want to go somewhere, I have different steps to go to that point. So this is generally the definition of a method. It's some instruction or code or lines that perform some specific task. Okay, and this is the general syntax of a method. We have what you call the access specifier, will define them, the return type of the method, then the method name, then the parameter list of the method. All this we call them method header. This is the syntax, and from the name and the parameter list, it is called the method signature. Okay, so let's see the different types of access modifier. Access modifiers mean how can I see the method outside of the class, inside the class, if I call it in another package. This is exactly what does mean, the keyword. As we know, public is anywhere, so from anywhere, if my method is public, I can get it from anywhere. That means in my program, which we'll learn later in the ID, there's some package. From anywhere I call it, I can find it. Okay, then the private only access using the class. So if I have a method in a class, if I try to call it outside of that class, I cannot see it. That means I get compile error. So that is for private method. Then protected is mean if they are using the same package or subclass, we can see it. Let's say I have a method A in one class, then I have subclass, I have another method B, so I can call it if they are within the same package or in the same subclass. Then default is mean I have not put any specific access modifier. Then I just put the method name, but there's no public, there's no private, there's no protect in front of the method name. This is what it means. So access is only within the same package. So if it's outside of the same package, we cannot see this. Okay, so these are the components, the return type, which specifies the type of the method, as we have already explained. Then the method name, which is unique. That means in a class I cannot have a method with the same name. I cannot find it. We can do it for constructor, which we will learn next. Okay, and the parameter list is like a function. If you have f, x, y, so these are the parameter list of the method. Okay, so let's see simple method. We have calculator, as you can see here. We have the keyword is public, which is I can see it from anywhere. Then the type of method is int, and it has two parameters, x and y, which return the result. What you have to know now, compared to void method, for a method that have a type, you have to return the method type. That means here's method type is int. Then now the result should be int, I return. But if it is int, I return something that is string, I'll get compile error. So the return type should have the same as the method type. Must be same as the method type. Okay, so we have also mainly two types of method. Built-in method, which are method defined from our JDK guide that we have learned. It will come if the ID if you want. So these are predefined method. Is not us that implement, we just use them. So this also is a max is some method that we use from math package. So these are example. So here, as you can see, we have one example math. That's mean we call math package to use a method maximum between two numbers, which if we try to print, we'll get 25. Okay, then we have the second type of method, which is user defined method, which method that we write ourselves. Okay, so then we have the keyword, which is also a static method that can be similar to a static variable. A static method also can be called using the class name. I can use it, don't need to create an object, but no static method, I need to create object to use it. Let's see one example. As you can see here, this static method show message. This one I can call it directly without even creating object. You see, I call it here in this line, then I call the class name demo.showMessage. But for this method, which is not static, I have to create object first, then I use it. So these are main difference between a static method and also no static method, or if you can, we can call it instance method, that a method inside a class. So these are two key difference between them. Okay, so in the next video we try to explain exactly now what is a instance and a static variable. I mean, we'll try to do a practical related to understand quickly this one. It's kind of takeaway. Okay, and also writing void and no void method. Then how we can use this static and no static method in a way that we think and design code. That means we'll first write the procedural code, then we try to implement in the Java code. So thank you, and see you for the part 3, which we will be focused on the practical on this notion, that mainly the instance variable, the void and no void method, and static and non static method. Thank you for following me. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Thank you.